Call this meeting to order. This is the City of Harvey Special City Council meeting. Today is Thursday, October 16th, 2025. It is 5:49 p.m. We'll do a roll call of the council members.
Alderwoman Derwinski.
Present.
Alderperson Chapman.
Present.
Alderperson Smith.
Present.
Alderperson Key.
Present.
Alderperson Randle-El.
Present.
Alderperson Rogers.
Present.
Mayor Clark.
Present. All right, because we are in the Lord's house, hopefully we will not have any shortage of pastors or men of the cloth here, but I'll ask our own Pastor Harrison, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Yes. We bow our heads. Father God, we come before you in Jesus' name. We give you praise and we honor you, Father, for truly you are worthy of the praise and all the glory. We thank you, God, for all your many blessings, God, the things that you've done for us, the places you brought us through, the storms you brought us through, and even the fact that you're going to bring us through in these times, God, to come. We thank you, Father God, for just life, health, and strength. You are truly a wonderful and faithful God. We ask that you'll be a part of this meeting tonight. Bless us, God. Allow us to hear, allow us to say. And God, please cover us in this meeting. Let your presence be here. Let your glory fill this place. Touch this administration and touch this city and all those that are under the sound of our voice. And we give you glory. We honor you in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Point of order. Chair recognizes fourth ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to add a motion, to make a motion to amend the agenda by adding the automatic comments for all alderpersons to discuss issues and concerns.
This is a special meeting. Special meetings are not amended that particular way as in the same course as regular meetings. There are specific requirements under the Open Meetings Act as far as what's supposed to be on the agenda. We followed that according to the law.
Point of information.
Yes.
Okay, as aldermen, are we allowed, or we're going to have the opportunity to say anything about this situation? I feel everybody sitting at this table, and it's happening so suddenly, should be able to speak as much or as long as they want to, because there's a lot of confusion going on right now.
Well, we must do things in order, Alderman. And of course, during the time, if and when we get to that point for a debate, then the council will be able to decide how long it wants to allow.
Well, a debate is not the same.
Please allow me to finish, sir.
Okay, I wasn't finished first. Go ahead.
Please, go ahead.
A debate and a question are not two of the same things. A question could be anything in general with the subject at all. A debate is when you're not going against something and why, or why you're going for something. But to have a debate, you ask a question, the first thing you're going to say is that's not a debate. And then I won't get a chance to say nothing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that comment. Yes, we know it, and we appreciate your addition at this particular point in time. Excuse me. Do we have anything? Okay. But I would like to, prior to going in to the rest of the meeting, if there is no objection, so that we can hear from the residents or those who are not residents as far as this particular matter is concerned. Is there any objection to allowing public comment to come before the presentation so that we can hear from those who are concerned? Hearing none, then we will move number 6, public comment, to number 5, and number 5 to number 6. That being said, our next item on the agenda is public comment. Our public comment is encouraged and appreciated. It's the only opportunity for the public to address the City Council on agenda items and other city-related business. In order to accomplish all business on the agenda and be respectful of everyone's time, council members will not engage in dialogue with individual members on the of the audience, and no immediate action will be taken on any public comment issue. When your name is called, please proceed and state your name. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. No speaker may donate his or her time to another speaker. Comments shall be courteous and respectful at all times. No person may use public comment for the purpose of campaign or advertisement. This is not a question and answer time, and the council cannot engage in conversation with the public. Questions and concerns about operations should be addressed with city staff during regular business hours. Our first public comment is Amanda A., followed by Ryan Sinwowski. Amanda A.
First public comment to hear.
Good evening, everyone. Special City Council meeting, another thing of this administration that gives me pause. Number one, changing up the public comment to me is a little confusing because it doesn't allow us to even give a comment about the ordinance about financially distressed city law after it has been presented, that we have to speak before. So I don't know if, again, it gives me a little pause and it just seems like there's a lot of trickery going on in this administration, and it gives me pause. Also, it gives me pause about the meeting on Sunday, the emergency meeting, where I'm assuming if the meeting was on Sunday, you all posted the agenda on a Friday after business hours. No one knew about it. And then to make a snarky comment saying, oh, we had public comment. Of course, public comment was a part of the agenda, but the public was not there to give comment. So again, that gives me pause to have an emergency meeting that the public did not know about. And then you go to social media to post about this meeting, but didn't use social media to make us aware of the meeting on Sunday. That kind of gives me pause. And I'm also a little not happy with the alderman that served on the finance committee, because the financial distress city law, according to the Illinois Municipal League, basically declares us quote unquote bankrupt, and the state has to step in and help us with the financials. But when you all are sitting in these meetings that I've been coming to every quarter, and yet we talk about these bills, you unanimously pass them with no list, with no debate, and then here we are at the 11th hour screaming for help. What's the purpose of having a finance committee if we're not discussing this? This financially distressed city law didn't happen overnight. This has been years of mismanagement. And what are you all meeting for every quarter if you're not going to address the elephant in the room? And then you decided to have gospel concerts and carnivals in the community. Those things cost us money. And if you don't have the money to have it, that's fine. But to scream bankrupt and then bring in a famous artist and pay them thousands of dollars, it doesn't make any sense. And whatever you're going to say in the presentation that you're going to have after this, it really doesn't mean anything, because we should have never been to this point to begin with. And it just really gives me pause. It's like, what are we paying a lobbyist for? What are we paying for all these things for? And then you all say, we have all these donations, but we've never seen a letter of thank you for a donation. We've never seen a budget. We also are paying Caseric to do an audit for us. So then what does that mean? Why would we pay Caseric to do a 2022 audit, and then we're going to declare basically that we are in financial distress and we need the state to come
Your
in.
time is up.
It just doesn't make any sense here.
Oh,
Next is Ryan Sinwowski, followed by Ruby Donahue.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan. I'm with the Harvey Historical Society. I'm also a Harvey president. I wanted to thank Amanda, Ms. Eskew, for those comments. I definitely second all of those. As you can see, I'm still in my work clothes from working on properties because the whole past 6 years, unfortunately, under Mayor Clark's administration has, even though I did support Mr. Clark initially, it's just been a lot of unanswered questions. And another secret meeting after the secret meeting on Sunday, calling it at 5:30 at a church instead of City Hall. I mean, most people are still working. Why isn't it at 7 o'clock? It's all very strange. I wanted to echo the concern about why did we just spend $30,000 on a gospel concert if the city is quote unquote broke, as Mayor Clark insists? What about all the fires that we're having? Why are there fires all the time? I've talked to the fire chief and other folks in the city. They never have any explanation. They just say, oh, squatters. So squatters are just regularly setting fires in Harvey, and we don't really have appropriate arson investigations going on. We don't have any reporting to the public about that. I mean, it doesn't seem it seems pretty suspicious to me. What about all of our unsolved crimes? What about the activist Jedediah Brown, who's working with Mayor Clark, who bragged about calling ICE to Harvey, and during the last city council meeting, because the mayor had canceled the one that we were supposed to have the most recently, Mayor Clark, instead of just saying, hey, I support everybody, human rights are human rights, told all of us we should just stay quiet. That's the best way to deal with ICE violating human rights throughout the Chicagoland area. I mean, it doesn't cost any money to at least just say, hey, we think everybody should be treated fairly. But I guess we shouldn't be surprised, right? I've been arrested, my older one has been arrested, many of us have been arrested, and our rights have been violated just for asking questions about where our money's going. So again, it's been 6 years of hiding money, arresting his opponents, ticketing people who say something under their breath at a city council meeting, and now we have another secret meeting tonight to ask the state to take over our finances. So what, and as Amanda said, how are we even really supposed to know what to ask for public
30
comment?
seconds.
Because nothing has been explained. It's just all, we really just don't get told anything in this city, other than talked down to, and told that we're stupid, and told that Mayor Clark's the best mayor ever, and that we should all just sit down and shut up. And but at the same time, we have all these department heads, including the mayor and other staff members, making 6 figures salaries from our tax money. So something's not adding up.
Your time is up.
Thank you. Next is Ruby Donahue, followed by Kennedy Harris.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy that we do have a complement of people present so that we can get an understanding as to what actually is happening. And I think that my thoughts about the entire situation, and with that of the concerned citizens here of Harvey, is that we have come out to find out the actual status. Rather than criticizing what is going on, we got to see what can we do to rectify the situation. How did we get into this kind of situation? Was it overnight? No. And this is what I personally am waiting to hear from our mayor as to the actual status and why we are here in the beginning. And what can we do about it? A lot of the things that have been mentioned previously, not at this particular meeting, but it was about what has gone pastward. Why do we stand in the path of retroacting things when we need to be going forward? The current things are what need to be moved about. We are citizens here that are paying high taxes, doing everything possible to move forward. And yet we are reacting in many instances in the manner of saying it doesn't matter. But it does matter. It does matter. There are many of us that are sitting here that are toiling every day to just maintain a individual status, not necessarily trying to go out and create a lot of things that are not necessary. We need to think harder and we need to work harder. And I love each and every one of you as citizens of Harvey, and I've been in the community over 56 years, so I can see what the difference is. I can see what is needed, what has been done, and what we need to move forward with. And I thank each of you for your attendance. Love you.
Next, we have Kimberly Harris.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I was hoping that after the presentation today, that the following bullet points would be addressed, and if not, if there is something that will go out to the community to address, explaining what exactly is going to occur if this indeed something that is passed by the city. Number one, the credit rating. Not just the credit rating of Harvey, but also the villages that share zip code with Harvey. Will this affect capital projects or potential development projects moving forward? That's a question that someone needs to ask, a decision maker needs to ask. Another question, long-term potential. We have seen, or we live in a state where the executive branch of the government has day-to-day effects in everyday life. How will this decision affect Harvey residents in our day-to-day life? Again, how does this affect city taxing bodies within the city? This will slow funding because when everything has to be approved through the state, that means that the state is going to look at everything. So this will slow funding to the library and also the park district. As decision makers, the executive branch of the government in the city of Harvey, have you spoken with, have you sat down with your other taxing bodies in your community to make sure that this is the best decision possible? Also, have you looked at or had conversations with other financially distressed cities, and how has it worked for them? What type of cuts did they have to make? What kind of decisions did they have to make? Was it a positive? Was it a negative? Was there anything they would have done differently? Was there anything they would have asked of if they knew, now that they are now in that financially distressed situation? As decision makers, have you done your research and asked these questions? Again, potential plan of the state in regards to Harvey. What is their vision if they intend to take over the finances of Harvey? Do they plan to cut services? Do they plan to divert funds to increase certain services?
30 seconds.
Okay. And then lastly, you must express to the homeowners that this will affect the value of their homes. This will lower the value of your home. How will this affect homeowners? How will this affect their taxes moving forward if they're potentially want to sell their property? If there are seniors here that have their property to fund their end-of-life things?
Time is up.
Will they be communicated?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda is 5, presentation of Harvey's financial situation. 5A, an ordinance requesting certification and designation under the financially distressed city law. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm saying you started the presentation. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Well, I thank everyone for coming out this evening so that we can review some matters regarding the city of Harvey. This is actually a very narrow meeting. The first thing that happens, of course, when someone sees an agenda like this is to basically try to take over the narrative and make it into something that they want to make it into. As far as the council is concerned, council, we will be asking you for one specific thing at this particular moment in time. But before we do so, we want to make sure that the council and also our public understand the current financial conditions in Harvey. In order to do so, it is also important for us to understand how we got to where we are and why things are the way they are at this particular point in time. So, first of all, the city of Harvey is and will continue to be committed to operating in full transparency. This is something that I fought for when I was an alderman. It's something that other members of our council have fought for and stand for, and all of our administration does. We want to make sure that we're educating everyone on our current financial situation the best that we possibly can at this particular time. Of course, there are going to be plenty of questions, and we will have time for that. And we will have time to address those, and we're trying to address those as best as we possibly can. But at the same time, we have action that we need to, in my opinion, take care of today. Next slide. So we're going to go into the history of the city Next slide. Now, prior to this administration, there were actually several administrations in the city of Harvey. We're going to start in 1995 with the Nicholas Graves situation and administration. Nicholas Graves was the mayor of the city of Harvey from 1995 to 2003. At that particular point in time, after him, of course, followed the Honorable Mayor Kellogg from 2003 to 2019, and then this administration as 2019 until present day. Next slide. Under the Graves administration, the city struggled with, first of all, probably one of the biggest revenue generators in the city of Harvey, which was, of course, Dixie Square Mall. But even though we had those challenges, and there were plenty of challenges under the Nicholas Graves administration, the Nicholas Graves administration was able to leave office in 2003 with approximately a $10 million surplus. So when we went into the Kellogg administration, we came in with approximately a $10 million surplus. Next slide. And then came the Kellogg administration. Next slide. And through that time, as you can see in the presentation, through 2000 and 2009, in 2010, there were bond offerings for the hotel deal. For those of you who are not familiar with the hotel deal, there used to be a Holiday Inn on approximately 171st and Halsted. At that particular point in time, the Holiday Inn had closed. It became another hotel, and eventually that hotel closed its doors as well. Well, I guess in an attempt, because I really can't speak on that as far as what the actual purpose was, but during that time there was a bond that was floated to try to rehabilitate that hotel. And that was in 2008, 2009, and 2010 bond offerings. At that particular point in time, Harvey, under the previous administration, engaged in a scheme, and this is quoted, to divert bond proceeds for improper purposes. These are not my statements. These are statements that were filed in the complaint by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And as a part of the scheme, Harvey made representation and omissions to investors about how those proceeds would be used. Well, of course, those proceeds were not used the way that they were supposed to be, and it was supposed to support the construction of the new hotel. The new hotel was never built. Those bonds were supposed to be repaid from the revenue streams from the hotel. But once again, the hotel was never built. Basically, the hotel would generate what is called a hotel, motel, and sales tax to help to pay off the bond that was taken out during this particular point in time. Next slide. The city paid the developer, previous slide, please. There we go. The city paid the developer for the hotel. The hotel was never built. Now that's important to know because the city took out a bond, the city paid the developer for the hotel, but the hotel was never built. So let's just say you decide to take out a loan for a vehicle, and you take out, I don't know, let's say $50,000 for the vehicle. But then you decide that after you get the loan for the vehicle, you're not going to buy the vehicle. You're just going to keep the money and use the money for other things. Maybe you'll go shopping, buy some clothes, buy some other things that you may need, or at least you feel that you need, but you don't use that money for what it was intended for. That is what happened here. And based on the records, the hotel was never built. But in addition, the city diverted $1.7 million that was raised through the bond offering and put that into its operation account. Okay, now, During that time, there were so many investigations from the Chicago Tribune that the Chicago Tribune itself had been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize based on its investigative journalism into the city of Harvey. And two of its quotes were, quote, "Instead of building the hotel, the money borrowed on the backs of taxpayers there from 2008 through 2010 largely went into a black hole of accountability, with the hotel to this day left half gutted and Harvey residents on the hook to make loan payments of more than $20 million with little to no record of exactly where it went." Now, some may say, well, how can we go from $8 million and we get to 20 million? Those numbers don't necessarily jive. Over the course of the entire bond, the total amount would be somewhere approximately $20 million of what the city would have to pay back for a hotel in which it borrowed money, and that hotel was never built. The money disappeared. Second quote, "Kellogg has since repeatedly refused to answer questions about the deal under oath, citing its constitutional right to avoid giving answers that could be used to prosecute him." Next slide. And so as a result, as you see on this slide, it says fine, but no repayment order. So the money disappeared. But we, as the taxpayers in the city of Harvey, were still on the hook for that money. We still have to pay that money back. So as a result, Harvey Mayor Kellogg at that time was fined $10,000. Millions of dollars disappeared, and he was fined $10,000 for the fraudulent bond offerings through the SEC investigation. And he was also ordered to no longer participate in municipal bond offerings for the rest of his life. But that didn't just have an impact on him. It had an impact on our city, because our city at that particular point in time was ordered for a period of time to no longer be able to participate in bond offerings as well. Now, for those who don't understand the bond offering itself, it's basically a loan that a city takes out. The city takes out that loan to try to fund projects in the city. So where if you wanted to do some work to your home, or you wanted to once again get a new vehicle, you may not have the cash on hand, so you go ahead and you take out a loan to do something. Well, some of the things that are looked at when you decide to take out that loan, what's the first thing they look at when they want to figure out if they're going to give you the loan or not? Your credit. They want to know what have you done with money that you have been loaned previously. So they look at your credit. In this particular case, when this issue happened and took place in the city of Harvey, it drove whatever bond rating the city of Harvey may have had into the gutter. So even if, say, for instance, the city was to be able to get a loan, it probably would be so usurious that it would be like a payday loan. Okay, and the interest rate would be so high if someone were to actually loan us money. But at this particular point in time, no, entirely off the table. So where other communities have the ability to float revenue bonds and general obligation bonds to be able to take care of projects in their community. And that's really what you see in the vast majority of cities around us. It's not that some of them do have a little bit more money, but the vast majority of them, they use that tool, their ability to be able to borrow, which allows them to be able to take care of the things that they need to take care of. Harvey does not have the ability to do that. Okay? So we are already on, instead of a three-legged stool, we are on a two-legged stool, because one of those legs are already gone. The ability to be able to get those bonds. And the only thing that happened during this particular point in time was a $10,000 fine and no longer participating in bonds for the rest of one's life. Next slide. But while all of that was going on, the city of Harvey was still having to pay more and more lawsuits, more and more litigation, more and more workers' compensation cases. And this is what, where the city of Harvey had to pay $1.4 million. I know some people in this room have heard of this particular issue, but Harvey had to pay $1.4 million to settle the suit because of the simple fact that the city had, along with some of the officers, unfortunately, including the mayor, framed a young man and sent him to jail. He was framed in such a way that the Illinois Supreme Court issued him a certificate of innocence. Not saying that he was found not guilty, but that he was innocent. And he was framed. Now, those are the lawsuits that, of course, all the things that we have to deal with are definitely unnecessary. And those are the things that cost our city more and more money. But that's what was happening. As this is going on, as we have $20 million that we've basically lost in a hotel bill, then we turned around and we have to pay another $1.4 million on a lawsuit that should have never occurred. Next slide. But once again, the Chicago Tribune, and I have to really give some credit to those journalists at that particular point in time, because they wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And this is important when we go into where we're going to get, because some people try to act as if they never knew that any of this stuff was happening. Some folks are trying to act as if, maybe they were living under a rock at that time, and they had absolutely no clue that this was happening in the city of Harvey. Those who lived in the city of Harvey knew what was happening. And many of those who lived in the Chicagoland area knew that it was happening, but people turned a blind eye. Look at it. Harvey spending cash it doesn't have. We'll start off with sheriff's deputies, auditors descend on Harvey City Hall. That's March 22nd, 2014. This is around the time that, you remember this, Joe, when we were paying the mayor's son and Alderwoman Drewinski, paying the mayor's son $80,000 a year to do a Facebook page for the city. Harvey spending cash it doesn't have, March 21st, 2014. March 2nd, 2014, FBI clams up on roll in Harvey mayoral election. Okay, now we're not going to touch too much into that, but basically what that refers to is the fact that $144,000 the FBI gave the administration, that candidate at the time, Eric Kellogg, $144,000 to support his campaign. Your federal government gave a candidate $144,000 to support his campaign for mayor. Okay? February 23rd, 2014, Harvey mayor belatedly files 3 years of campaign reports. February 18th, 2014, lawmakers seek answer from feds about Harvey. Dick Durbin and Robin Kelly, Congresswoman Robin Kelly, both sent a letter to the Department of Justice asking for answers on how $144,000 of federal funds ended up in the campaign funds for Eric J. Kellogg. If you want the answers to that question, you need to ask them, but they definitely wrote a letter. Then the Chicago Tribune came out with 2014, February 13th, an editorial says that Harvey was a city abused and ignored. And finally, February 12th, sheriff seeks to review the finances and police of suburbs. These are just a few of the things, because every week the Chicago Tribune was writing something about the city of Harvey. And as the Chicago Tribune was writing it, Channel 9 was also reporting it. But that's the Tribune company, am I correct? They were also reporting it. So as these things were happening, people were watching our city go into the dirt. That's exactly what they were doing. Now there are some, of course, who stood to benefit, and they'll be the first ones to jump up and say, there's a different type of story. But you can read it for yourself. Next slide. At which point in time, myself, Shirley Jawinski, Joseph Whittington, Lamont Brown decided to pen a letter to the federal government, to the state government, the county government, and anyone else who would listen, to ask them to step into the city of Harvey and offer us some assistance. There was enough information that was already there. The Department of Justice had already done a report on the police department, saying that the police department did not keep records. So they couldn't find, they were supposed to investigate the department to find out what the use of force was. But they couldn't find out what the use of force was because the department did not keep the records to demonstrate what its use of force was. The Cook County Sheriff did a report on the city of Harvey and said that tow truck money was missing. And they couldn't account for where the money for the tolls went. That money was supposed to go into the coffers to help to pay down debt. But for some odd reason, it just disappeared and went somewhere else. And all the while, Shirley Jawinski, Joseph Whittington, Lamont Brown, and myself kept pleading over and over again for help. We began to protest, even though some like to say we didn't show up for meetings for 18 times, isn't that right, Shirley? We began to protest what was happening in the city. Next slide. And so, of course, the editorial board of the Chicago Tribune wrote an editorial about the city of Harvey, excuse me, and basically what was happening and what we were trying to do. Next slide. Once again, Jomar, Matt Wahlberg, kept writing. The editorial called on Governor Randle-El at the time to send the Department of Revenue agent to Harvey to encourage the state police to investigate him. Was that done? No. The editorial suggested that the Illinois Auditor General could review Harvey's finances. Was that done? No. Actually, if I'm correct, Shirley Jawinski, we tried to pass an ordinance to allow Tom Dart to be the Inspector General at that, Auditor General at that particular point in time, to take a look at the finances. And even though Tom Dart tried and wanted to get involved, that particular ordinance was vetoed by Eric Kellogg. Next slide. Well, don't make up the calls. The victims, again, quote, are the residents of Harvey who cannot rely on functional government to serve them. Let it sink in. Aldermen, elected officials who care deeply about their city are pleading for help in whatever way, under whatever legal authority you may have to intervene into the city of Harvey. Ignoring them further victimizes the residents of this troubled city and the aldermen brave enough to speak out. Christopher Clark, Joseph Whittington, Shirley Jawinski. Next slide, please. So once again, state turns a blind eye to the problems in Harvey. Next slide. And while that was going on, we had additional headlines. Strip club paid mayor of Illinois for years to allow prostitution at the venue, feds say. And these are all things that had to be defended in the city of Harvey. This brings For those who think that maybe I'm not the best mayor in the world, okay? Imagine, let's go back to the days of, God rest his soul, what was his name? Marion Barry. When that first hit the news, and it was said that Marion Barry was smoking crack in a hotel room, how that impacted Washington, D.C. Or Mayor Ford in Canada. I think he was the mayor of Toronto, I think it was, or Vancouver, one of them. No. And when your mayor and leadership is made to look that way, it diminishes the credibility, faith, and belief in the institution in which you serve. It diminishes the faith, credibility, and belief in those people, because in general, this does not happen. But according to this report, former Harvey, Illinois Mayor Kellogg's brother was convicted in the scheme, which occurred when he was in office. Federal prosecutor says Kellogg has not been charged. Well, we're not even going to go into that. I'm pretty sure somebody will run to his defense as soon as they possibly can. We'll move on to the next slide. And it just continued on and on. Next slide. Continued on and on, because in the former Harvey Mayor Kellogg pleads guilty in bribery charge. So while we have no credit, because our credit has gone down to the dirt, then the overall perception of the city is that the city is just absolutely crooked. That's the way that it looks. And I can guarantee you, some of y'all wouldn't even loan your cousin, who don't do whatever he or she is supposed to do, $5 to go do something. Imagine someone coming to you and saying to you that they want to borrow 50 million, 200 million. And this is the behavior that has been engaged in. Next slide, please. In addition to that, the city of Harvey purchased water from the city of Chicago. And at the time, sold it to 5 municipalities: Dixmoor, East Hazelcrest, Homewood, and Poston. We used to have plenty more customers. We don't have as many now. But they sold water. And of course, they sold water to, if you're a resident of Harvey, you. They sold it to us. And actually, in fact, we paid the highest bill of all of those municipalities, even though we were the ones selling the water. Can you imagine being a farmer and having a milking cow and actually charging yourself more for milk than what you charge everybody else who buys the milk from you? That's what was happening in the city of Harvey. And the city built those downstream communities for water, and they collected that revenue and then failed to pay it to the city of Chicago. That's 2. Let's go back. First was the hotel motel deal. Money was taken, money disappeared, money that we have to pay back, money was used for operations and other things, but we're still on the hook for it. The city billed the downstream municipalities for their water, but never paid that money to the city of Chicago. Next slide. Now some of y'all will say, no, that can't be true. Well, Harvey illegally diverted water cash owed to Chicago, millions missing. Judge rules, not clerk rules, judge rules. We went to court. The city of Harvey went to court, and some of the people in this room also went as well, concerned citizens of the city of Harvey. And during that time, it was established that the city of Harvey, under the previous administration, had diverted water cash that was owed to Chicago, and the money just disappeared. So, even though the money disappeared, and we never paid as a city, the city of Chicago, guess who still owes that money to the city of Chicago? The city of Harvey does. Next slide. So then the judge ordered Harvey to pay Chicago $26 million in unpaid water bills. So we got it so far. We got 20 million in a bond deal. We got another 26 million. Okay, my mathematicians out there, I'm pretty sure y'all figured that out real quick. That's $46 million already. And we have been on the hook for that we didn't have the money for, but the money disappeared. Next slide. The judge in that particular case, Kathleen Patrick, said the city's leaders failed to grasp the severity of their years of illegal conduct. Illegal conduct. So we got bond money missing for hotels. Nobody ever get charged. Nobody going to jail. We got years of illegal conduct where millions of dollars were missing and 26 million was misspent. No charges. But we had to, what did we get as a result? What was our door prize? Our door prize was a water receiver. And a water receiver was appointed to the city of Harvey to oversee the water money. And the water receiver ended up charging the city of Harvey how much money, Louis Williams? $4? $4? 400,000. It's got to be 400,000, right? $4 million. So in addition to the 26 million, the 20 million, the receiver hits us up for another 4. And that water receiver was appointed by the courts. So we couldn't get out of that. Now, in 2015, Mayor Emanuel, next slide, announced a settlement with the city of Harvey. So this is all great. The city of Harvey has entered into a settlement with the city of Harvey to collect the unpaid water bills on behalf of Chicago taxpayers. Action ensues. More than 30 million will be recouped from all 4 suburban municipalities who owe Chicago taxpayers. That was in 2015. Was it all paid? No. And we found ourselves, where were we again, Shirley Drowinski? Back in court again. And each and every time that we're in court, we not only have to deal with the publicity of it all, we also have to pay attorneys to represent the city in these particular cases. Next slide, please. So, we asked for oversight. Shirley Drowinski, Joe Whittington, sitting right here, myself. We asked for oversight. That was vetoed. Next lawsuit. And then came from a guy's act. 5 pension lawsuit. Now, before I make my statements here, I want to make sure that everybody in the room understands that our police department and our fire department, especially the Harvey Fire Department, is probably the best. I don't know better than the fire department, I got honest to say. And as far as the police department, even though it's had some challenges, the police department has been able to turn around and make some significant changes in the way it operates and in its solving of cases in the city of Harvey. So they are to be commended. But this is not them. This is the fire pension. Okay? And before we get into that, I also got on Fox News, a national program, and got on there and talked to the reporter at the time and said to the reporter that the pensions need to be paid. It's important. Those pensions were a part of the promise that we made to the people who served as our first responders. And so it was important that we paid those pensions. But how they get paid is a total disagreement. So in 2010, the Fire Pension Board filed a lawsuit alleging that since 2005, the city failed to make contributions to its fund. Actually, wasn't it 10 years, Louis Williams? It was 10 years that the city of Harvey had not paid the pension obligations to both fire and to police. And in 2015, the trial court held that the city was liable for more than $15 million in damages. Now, a lot of things happened at that particular point in time, and actually, in my opinion, we could have worked to settle that amongst ourselves, but it didn't work that way. So that's when the Chicago Tribune stepped in again, for those Chicago Tribune, go back and find the quotes. Quote, Harvey has set up a collision course over many years where the beneficiaries of the firefighters' pension fund are being paid substantially out of the money that the firefighters have themselves contributed to the pension fund and the money the pension fund earns from investments, the court wrote, because it went into court again. In essence, Harvey is robbing Peter to pay Paul. But what happens when Peter retires? Money missing, more money, just missing. And instead of the pension holders at the time being paid from the investments, what do you call that thing? It was a pyramid scheme. That's what it was. You familiar with the pyramid scheme? And they basically took the money from what was coming in to pay off the people who were owed, okay? And the people who were, of course, paying money that were coming in would never, ever get the opportunity to recoup the return on their investment. When people are convicted of pyramid schemes, usually what happens? Let's see, Bernie Madoff? What happens? People get charged. People go to jail. But in the case of the city of Harvey, the $15 million wasn't paid, and nothing happens. Next slide, please. So in 2018, the city enters into a settlement agreement with the pension fund. And in 2016, the state passed a law basically allowing the state comptroller to seize the money that the municipality owed to the pension in extreme cases of pension mismanagement. Well, this was one of those cases. So the fire pension fund was $67.6 million underfunded, with a 12% funded ratio. And after racking up, as it says, an unfunded liability of $36.7 million at a funded rate of 29%, the police pension sued also. So we were sued by police and fire. And of course, you know what happened. Of course, we were supposed to pay them. They weren't paid. They were supposed to be paid. The court said they were supposed to be paid. And we still didn't pay. And so the police and the fire pension decided that they were going to take action. The seizure of state funding for pensions has resulted in significant layoffs of critical services. Now, this was back in 2018. Next slide. So to be clear, this is not the fault of any city employee. It's not the fault of any employee, and specifically our fire and police. As a mayor, I could not be prouder of our first responders. I could not be prouder of our chiefs. Couldn't be prouder. They have done phenomenal jobs keeping this thing together. Our deputy chiefs and everybody that follows has done a fantastic job, and it's not their fault. It's not the fault of the residents of Harvey either. You've seen cuts in service. In 2018, we saw half the fire department was cut. You remember that, guys? Half the police department was cut. in 2018 because of this. And we've seen cuts in crucial services. At one point in time, we could not even get garbage service. And the city of Harvey was on television because we weren't paying the garbage bill. But what this does is this drives us into a situation where the city, because of all that we owe, will impact us severely. So, next slide. So by the end of the Kellogg administration, the city of Harvey went from a $10 million surplus to $164 million in debt. And nobody in the administration was charged with the crime. We only have a little bit more to go, but my city administrator is telling me that we probably need to take a break here. So it depends on the council, if the council wants to do so, or would you like to keep going?
Let's keep going.
Keep going.
Let's keep going.
We have a motion by the first and a second by the third. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, we'll take a break for 5 minutes.
For the record.
Oh, we do have, okay, we have Tracy Key and of course, Harvey Chapman. They will return at
That's right.
6:55.
Say it. We all have one. I work on
Stretch around into lifetime.
all we need is headline. Where are the numbers? Yes, see anything regarding the lunch over. See anything regarding the spike there. But
It just the dollar is kind of life
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be talking to them anymore. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to get started in 1 minute, please. Just trying to... So we're gonna call the roll again too. Yeah. Are you ready? We'll reconvene. Let's just call it 7:05 p.m.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll again?
Alderperson Derwinski.
Present.
Alderperson Chapman.
Present.
Alderperson Smith.
Present.
Alderperson Key. Alderperson Randle-El.
Present.
Alderperson Rogers.
Present.
Mayor Clark.
Present. So we have a quorum again. So we will continue to the next slide, please. So we saw where we left off in the previous administration. And of course, we come and find ourselves in the Clark administration, the current administration. This current administration inherited $164 million in debt obligations. And we've gone over, of course, through this presentation, and there were some things that we actually didn't even address. But inherited $164 million in debt obligations. Back to that pension issue with the police and fire, we inherited a loss of 35% of state revenue that's now being diverted to, or I like to say garnished, to fund, of course, the pensions. Of course, we inherited a gross lack of financial and personnel records. And for those who can go back to May of 2019, you may recall when Ben Bradley came to the city of Harvey and took a look in the city and looked at all of the boxes that was thrown all over the place and the records that were all over the place. I'm also going to, speaking on that issue, commend the clerk's office for doing everything that they did, along with, of course, the rest of the team to try to get those documents in order, because it was a seismic piece of work and labor that needed to be done in order to do something. Of course, we inherited a lack of annual audits, and of course, because we didn't have the audits, we didn't have the paperwork either to complete some of those audits. And finally, we inherited the city's reputation for and the public perception of corruption and mismanagement. And that's where we started. Next slide. So where do we go from here? Next slide. Well, where does the city get its revenue from? First, property taxes. In general, cities will get their revenue, a lion's share of their revenue from the property taxes. In the case of the city of Harvey collects approximately 52% of its property taxes. On average, we are losing, because of a failure to pay property taxes, somewhere to $25 to $27 million a year that we're not collecting in property taxes. And specifically from a commercial property tax standpoint, it's about $12 million. So I'm not going to go into the $12,217,517. It's about $12 million. Another way that the city gets revenue, and other cities as well, is through sales taxes. But the majority of the businesses, at least 90% of the businesses in the city of Harvey are cash-based businesses. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a cash-based business at all. But I will be honest with you, some of those cash-based businesses do not engage in the proper reporting of the cash that they receive as revenue for their businesses. And I'll give you an example. There is a business that used to be in the city of Harvey by the name of Sugar Babies. And Sugar Babies put down on the reporting to the state that for the whole day, and for those who are not familiar with Sugar Babies was a nightclub, bar and nightclub. It may also call itself a grill at that particular point in time. But it put on its reporting to the state of Illinois that its gross income was $25,000 for the year. Some people laughing already because you know it's a joke. $25,000. But when we went back and looked at their liquor sales alone, the liquor sales they had sold at approximately $483,000 worth of liquor. But it wasn't reported. Most of that stuff, cash. And it was only because the liquor commissioner and the team who works with the liquor commissioner was able to uncover that we were able to bring that to the attention of the state. And so Many of our businesses that are cash-based businesses bring in the revenue, but they don't report it. So we don't get the full amount of sales taxes. We don't get, and then when it comes to state income taxes, that's another way that a city will get its revenue. State motor fuel taxes. Those things help to fix roads and sidewalks and take care of lights and things of that nature. That's where a city gets its revenue from. Other taxes, real estate taxes, transfer taxes, video gaming taxes, terminal push taxes, things of that nature, grants, license and permit charges, and of course, miscellaneous revenue that we get from cell towers, rentals, cable franchise agreements, and things of that nature. That's basically how a city gets its revenue. Next slide. From the property tax standpoint, we file a levy every December. A levy is filed with the county, telling the county how much money we need. This is what cities normally do. They include the city, the school districts, townships, park districts, the library, community colleges, MWRD, forest preserves, things of that nature. If you ever take a look at your tax bill, you will see that the city of Harvey is only one line on your entire tax bill for how much you can tax. And there's limits on how much a local government can tax. So this goes back to our understanding of our property taxes. And the city of Harvey cannot just arbitrarily decide that they're going to go up just any amount of money that the city would like to go up on your taxes. Municipalities don't have the ability to be able to do that. Now, the county assessor does some things. They add together the levy amounts that the public bodies needs. Eventually, it comes with the value of properties, and they put all that together. And I'm just going to say, because there's been some concerns as far as that's concerned, but they come up with the amount of what they believe the property is worth, and based on that, how your property should be taxed. And property taxes generally are basically based on the market value of the property that you own. Okay, and people with expensive, I'm sorry, I'm laughing at this one. People with expensive properties pay more, and less expensive properties pay less. I probably have to disagree with that, but sometimes, that's the way that it's supposed to work. Next slide. But the largest amount that we get, and the largest amount that most municipalities receive in revenue, is from property taxes. So, here are our challenges. One, compared to surrounding communities, Harvey has fewer commercial, retail, and industrial properties to contribute to our tax base. As a result, the larger tax burden falls on who? The Harvey residents. And the Harvey residents have for decades, I'm going to repeat, for decades, been floating this boat in the city of Harvey to make sure that we could even exist. So to all of the residents in the city that are homeowners and pay those taxes, we thank you very much for doing so. But because of the previous administration, the city of Harvey's residents are taxed at one of the top 3 highest rates of all municipalities in Cook County. So we're taxed high. 52%, as I said, of the city's residents and of course the commercial properties do not pay their property taxes, so we lose that revenue. And many of the city businesses, of course, don't pay. As of 2021, those businesses, those commercial properties owed, and I've said it so much it almost became a song, $12,217,517 in unpaid taxes. That is 1 year. Some of those businesses have not paid taxes for 20 years. And if we go back, and I'm not going to ask the person operating the slides to do so, but the very first thing that we do is the vast majority of the revenue that a municipality gets is from property taxes. And this is what we have. Next slide, please. The Cook County reassessed, of course, I guess that was it, property values, and many residents, because of the property taxes, cannot afford their homes. They're taxed out of their homes. Next slide, please. So, what did we do? We pledged, along with this body before you, to freeze residential property taxes, even though we were facing a $150 million deficit. Now, there were some people who asked the question of, why would you do that? Why would you freeze increasing property taxes when you know that you already are $150 million in the hole? I'll tell you why. First of all, there's just a downright order of fairness. And the people in the city of Harvey have paid so much from a property tax standpoint that it's absolutely ridiculous. These are, some are poor, some are working poor people who have just enough month at the end of the money to try to be able to make it every single day. And when we go as a government and we decide that we're going to increase those taxes even more, what happens? We get what's called diminishing returns. People get to the point where they say, you know what? The taxes are just too high. I give up. I'm not doing it anymore. A lot of them have already done that and walked away from their homes. And when you see a lot of these abandoned properties in the city of Harvey, they weren't always that way. But some of them could not afford to stay in the homes in which they lived because the taxes were too high. And so what we wanted to do was, one, is show the people and the residents in the city of Harvey that we appreciate them, that we recognize you, that we see you. Because the same things that you go through, we go through as well as property owners in the city. We see you. And to increase your taxes, to me, would be just as irresponsible as some claiming to be irresponsible because we owe $150 million. We would not collect any more money because we increased the taxes. So the taxes, if we increase the taxes, that 150 wasn't going to go down because fewer people were going to pay. Now, we're only one of 15 taxing bodies that's on your tax bill. So when you go look at your tax bill the next time, whenever they're eventually going to make their way into the mailboxes. And when they do, and you take a look at your tax bill, just remember the city of Harvey did not increase its taxes. So if your tax bill has increased, then you need to ask yourself, who was it of those 15 districts that increased the tax bills to make you pay more? Because it wasn't the city of Harvey. And even though we knew that for some, considered it would put us in a bad way, we just couldn't do it. And I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of the council members that agreed with it. And we decided to freeze those. Next slide. But the second installment of taxes should have been out in August 1st. But they have not sent out the tax bills yet. Has anybody, at least not to me, has anybody in here got their Cook County property tax bill yet? Okay. I just wanted to make sure, maybe I was missing mine. Okay. But as a result, you have to look at it this way. All the things that we've talked about so far as money is concerned, but one thing you need to realize is the city of Harvey does not have a surplus. Remember, I said $165 million worth of debt. The city of Harvey does not have a cushion. The city of Harvey does not have a soft place to land. When we don't get those tax dollars, that is all the money that we would have had. And as a result, because the bills have not gone out, people have not paid. And because people have not paid, the city has not received the money that it was supposed to receive in September. So, to put it in plain English, y'all, we've been riding on E for quite some time. And you know how you get when you're riding on E and you're trying to figure out, okay, am I finally on fumes or when is the car going to stop? Well, the city relies on those revenues to operate, and we continue to have those expenses even though there's no more money coming in. Next slide. So, even if we received today those taxes, we still remain unable to meet our operational expenses, because that money has already been spent, okay? And the amount that's lost by the defaulting property taxpayers, that 25 to 27 million, puts us in a hole so deep that we can't even meet our other obligations, okay? And so we've been without funding since September, and it's exacerbated everything we've had to do. Because all of those things that we were talking about from the previous administration, we didn't even talk about all of the litigation that we have to deal with, all of the judgments that we have to pay, all of the arbitrations awards that we have to pay. We haven't discussed those. All of the vendors and everything that we must take care of. We're not getting any of those dollars, and we're not able to pay our vendors, and we're not able to take care of our operational expenses. Next slide. So, back to the pension boards and that lawsuit. We need to explain how that impacts us. I'm used to standing up, but I'm gonna try to stay seated. I'm gonna kind of, you can read what it says here, but I want to try to kind of explain it to you. So, the city of Harvey gets a grant, say for instance, for $1 million, okay? And it's through the state. Because the city of Harvey gets a grant for $1 million, which is a great thing because we need grants. I think most people would, agree that we need money. We need to fix infrastructure, streets, curbs, sidewalks, lights. We need to do those things. And so say, for instance, the city of Harvey got a $1 million grant. One of the first things that happens with that $1 million grant is the comptroller, the state comptroller, because of the pension lawsuit, takes 35% of that $1 million. You follow me? So they take $350,000 of that $1 million. Now, we already have established that we don't have the operational expenses, that we don't get the property taxes and the sales taxes and the state income tax and all those other things that we're supposed to get. So when we get a $1 million grant and then the state takes the $350,000, we are now in violation of that grant. Am I right, Howard? We are now in violation of that grant. So in order for us to get out of being in violation, we have to come up with $350,000. $350,000. And we have to find it wherever we have to pay it, where we can find it. Remember we was talking about robbing Peter to pay Paul? We have to rob Peter to pay Paul to try to figure out how to come up with the money to pay that $350,000. That $350,000 comes from where? Our operational expenses, which is an operational expense, which is a short way of saying payroll, to pay the employees in the city of Harvey. And if we don't come up with that $350,000, then one, we can't use the grant. We still owe the $350,000, And right now we have, what is it, the Attorney General's office coming after us for $17,500 for a $50,000 grant that we got for police. We got a grant for police. The comptroller took 35%, $17,500. And then the Attorney General's office is coming after us for the $17,500. So now we have to defend ourselves. So not only do we have to pay, we have to defend ourselves, we have to pay attorneys to defend us because we actually already properly used that $17,500 for the purposes of the grant. It's just a vicious cycle over and over again. And this is what happens. And every time we take one step forward, we go 2 steps back. Every single time. Somebody's out there saying 3 steps back. Next slide. So, because of that, in addition to taking 35% of state funds, of MFT funds, they're taking restricted funds, they're taking every type of fund there is. They're taking our funds from EPA. For those who are familiar with, what do you call it, lead service lines, there are lead service lines in the city of Harvey. The city of Harvey was established in 1891. So there are lead service lines in the city of Harvey. And we were trying to get money for those lines, am I correct? And what did the comptroller do? Took the money. Not only did the comptroller take the money on behalf of the pensions, and like I said, this is the quandary. But then the EPA wrote us a letter saying that they weren't going to give us any more grant funds because our money is taken by the state comptroller. So that means while Linwood, Homewood, Flossmoor, Matheson, University Park, Olympia Fields, that's why Orland Park and Tinley Park and Colson and everybody else gets to drink lead-free water, we get to get stuck with lead water because we can't get the money because our money is being taken by the comptroller due to something that happened many years ago under another administration. And we have to continually try to figure out a way to find our way out. Next slide. Same thing with the fire pension litigation. I'm not going to belabor this. Same thing with the fire pension litigation. Same thing happened. Next slide, please. And I think I've made my point. Maybe I haven't, but I think I have, because as far as sales tax, we have the same issue. This money continues to be taken. Next slide. State income tax, same thing. Next slide. Our motor fuel tax. Some people ask, why don't we fix the streets? Why don't we take care of those things? What about potholes and things of that nature? That money is being taken through the fire and police pensions. And I just have to also note, because I've been here in the city for so long, and I'm looking at some of our wonderful residents, and some of y'all don't even buy the city sticker that helps to fund this motor fuel tax so we can repair those roads. Next slide. The Rivers Casino revenue. We would get about, what does he say, 1.2 million from Rivers, 1.4 million from Rivers Casino. But since Wind Creek is here now, there's been legislation put in play so that we don't get the 1.4 anymore, that instead of receiving the money from Rivers Casino, we won't get that money anymore, and instead, and this doesn't only affect the city of Harvey, it affects a lot of the other Southland communities. The city of Harvey would only receive approximately $800,000. So we go from getting 1.4 at Rivers to 800,000 from Wind Creek. They just cut the money. And that's some stuff that happened downstate. So if you got problems with that, you got to talk to those people. Next slide. Same thing with grants. And I've already talked to you about the grants. Next slide. Other revenue sources. Same thing. So we know that the money isn't there We know that money disappeared. We know that people weren't charged. We know that money wasn't paid. We know that there's been litigation. We know all these things have happened. But what does the city of Harvey need? Well, the city of Harvey needs roughly $51 million annually to pay its operational needs. $51 million. And there's not a one person, because I see some employees in the audience, there's not one person who works for the city of Harvey that makes the same or more than what their counterpart would make in a village in the city of Harvey. Our employees are understaffed, they're underpaid, okay? And we need approximately $51 million annually to pay for our operational needs. We receive about $30 million, so we're shy once again. Too much month at the end of the money. And now, in addition to receiving approximately $30 million per year, we're also, would you go to the next slide, please? We also are receiving 35% less because of those fire and police pensions. Now, I gotta say it again because someone's going to misconstrue what I'm saying, so I want to make sure that it's clear, because I said it before. This is not a reflection on our police department, it's not a reflection on our fire department. And when I called it a pyramid scheme, it was a pyramid scheme that the previous administration was involved in, to basically use that money to help fund the pension from people who were actually paying active members. So I want to make sure that we understand that, because once again, sometimes, you know, I do as well get my feelings every now and then, and as they say, you feel some type of way. I don't want any of our first responders feeling that way at all because of the work that they do. But because we only collect about $30 million, and then 35% of that is gone, we tried to keep this city operating for the past 6 years. And we tried every creative way that we could to try to make sure that this city had streets, lights, curbs, and sidewalks, that we had police and fire protection, that we had garbage picked up, refuse picked up every week, and that we weren't on the news. We worked opportunities off to try to do so. That's exactly what we did. We did increase property taxes because we knew that our residents could not afford it. And we didn't have the ability to qualify for another bond to pay for any of these expenses the way a normal municipality would be able to. Next slide. So of course, we have additional challenges. Nobody sees the city's entire financial situation. The Illinois law has no provision for municipal bankruptcy, because there's some who say, well, why don't you just do what Detroit did? You know, Detroit's on the mend, so why don't you do what they did? There is no provision for at least home rule municipalities to engage in bankruptcy. And while we want to pay all of our bills, there is no mechanism for a municipality to consolidate its debt. I think it was like chapter 13 or something like that. There's no ability for us to do that. So we basically just pay as you go. And we have officially run out. Next slide. When the city attempted to lay off employees or restructure departments, the unions have challenged our attempts at every move. And the arbitrators who were either unaware of what we were going through, or maybe they just didn't believe our financial challenges, have issued additional awards. So this is how this works. We'll get an arbitration award from the arbitrator. We can't pay the arbitration award. So then the unions will go file another unfair labor practice and go into arbitration to try to get us to pay the thing that we can't pay. okay? And then when we can't pay it, and we can demonstrate that we can't pay it, then the arbitrator issues another award for us not paying the award that we were supposed to pay. And now we gotta try to pay that award in addition to the award that we were supposed to pay, and they wanted how much percent? 6. And they wanted an additional 6% as well. Even though we lack the revenue to pay and we can do so. And you know what the arbitrator said? Well, we should be able to pay these things because the other municipalities around us can pay them. That's like you being a doctor, and unfortunately our school teachers don't make enough money, and me being a school teacher, and the expectation is I'm supposed to pay the same amount of taxes that you pay because we live in the same neighborhood. No, it doesn't make any sense. But the way the arbitrators look at it, it does. And it continues to put the city of Harvey in a deeper hole. Next slide. Same thing with these lawsuits and our workers' compensation cases. We've tried cases, we've won, and we've settled cases, but we have to pay off these judgments. Approximately 90%, from what I recall, approximately 90% of those cases are cases from the previous administration. We had cases going back as far as 2007. 2007, that were never either settled, negotiated, or whatever. But the judges and the arbitrators look at a single case and they don't consider that Harvey cannot immediately pay off its judgments. And it seems to me, honestly, and this is my honest opinion, that they don't care. And so we've tried to negotiate settlements. To no avail. We've tried to get the opportunity to pay off our judgments a little bit longer over time. To no avail. Of course, everybody wants their money. I love telling the what I call the sergeant story. Okay, God bless you, sergeants. I know I love you, but I gotta come for you for a second. Because we wanted to get new cars for the city. Because when I came into the city, you could see through the floorboard of each and every police vehicle. It was like using the Flintstones, and you would pedal with your feet to try to get the car going. And we were trying to get new cars, but we also had to pay back pay to our sergeants, and the sergeants were supposed to get it. But the question was asked about us getting the vehicles or paying them immediately. And they wanted their money. Even though the cars would have put them in a better position to be able to do the jobs that they were being paid to do. Now I'm not gonna, as they say, hate on somebody because they want to get the cheese. But at the same time, if we're doing this together, you have a totally different perspective. Next, what was that? Oh yeah, that was one. Huh. Yeah, that's the last one. If we can go, can we go back? I guess we can go back. Well, oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, we also tried to file legislation to allow us to pay off our judgments over time, over a longer period of time, but that failed because of pushback from the trial lawyers, lobbyists. Okay? So everybody's protecting their interests. Everybody's taking care of themselves. And while they're taking care of themselves, the city of Harvey continues to go down. And that's one of the main parts of this story. It's not just about what happened in the previous administration. It's about a lot of people sat and watched those things happen and did absolutely nada. People who we relied on to do something. And they did nothing. Next slide. So we've had several successes, of course. We have finally sealed the deal on ending litigation over the bond default. We got ourselves out of the Securities and Exchange Commission's investigation, and that complaint was dismissed. We took care of that. Next slide. We have, of course, brought in, of course, some economic development. Most recently, Harvey Lofts, which has been extremely successful. And it's a $20 million investment by Pivotal. Next slide. We're also overhauling Metro and Pace. They have received money on behalf of the city of Harvey. So for those who think that for some odd reason that when you see these initiatives taking place and you see the construction or whatever it is, you don't have to worry. The money, those who want to worry, you don't have to worry. The money don't come past my desk. The money I don't even see what it look like. I don't get to sniff it. That money goes straight from wherever the grant is, straight to the people doing the work. But that kind of happens when you have a hotel deal where you're supposed to build a hotel and all the money disappears. Now, it doesn't make a difference that you have a new administration and that you have new people working in that administration and that your mayor is an attorney. They don't care. They're making sure that bottom line is I don't touch the money anyway. So I don't have to worry about going to jail for those who would like to sue me. Because the simple fact is the money goes straight from the grant, straight to the people performing the work, and we have to provide documentation on all of it. Ain't that right, Louis Wade? Next slide, please. So, of course, we know that the city of Harvey is in a desirable location. We have all these businesses, we have good locations, we have all the rails, we have all of the expressways, we have all of those things, but there are some other things that are hindering us. We can't seize property. So when you see some of the property that needs to be redeveloped, we can't seize that property because we don't have the money to seize it. Somebody the other day talked about the fact that I loaned the city of Harvey $25,000 of my own personal money. We don't have the money to actually seize those properties. So when you have an abandoned property, say for instance on your block, okay, as I do as well, and you have that abandoned property on your block, it may be owned by a private party, not owned by the city. The city could attempt to try to seize that property, take over that property, and try to put that property back on the tax rolls. But in order for us to be able to seize the property, we have to have the finances to be able to do so. To be able to go to court, to be able to pay the fees, to be able to do everything that needs to be done, to be able to pay litigation. If the property needs to be torn down, we have to have the money in order to tear it down, and we don't have the finances to do so. As a mayor, if we had the resources to tear down all of the properties that needed to be torn down, we would tear them down. If we had the resources to fix all the streets the way they needed to be fixed, we would fix them. The reason why it's not done is because we don't have the revenue to be able to do so. And that's what happens. You guys all right? I understand, yeah. While we're in church, we're going to praise God for bringing our brother Tyrone back to us. Cause,
I'm glad to be in.
Man, come on now. Thank you. Give him some praise. And y'all saw how banged up this brother was. But he was still talking all the time while he was in the hospital. So we don't have the resources to be able to do so. If we had the resources to do so, you don't have to believe me, but I'm going to tell you, those things would be done. Absolutely. So much so that yes, I did loan the city $25,000 of my own money that I earned, to tear down a house here in the city. And I did that because the city of Harvey did not have the money to be able to do so. We don't have, just unfortunately, somebody else said, well, I don't want to talk money. We don't have what all the other municipalities have. And that's what we're trying to get to. That's where we need to get to. And hopefully we can get to the next slide. Yeah, we've had, as you already know, Cook County has assisted with infrastructure needs. Next slide. We don't have a law for bankruptcy. Next slide. And so currently, House Bill 4024, everyone, pay attention here. For those who have drifted off a little bit, pay attention. House Bill 4024 is currently pending in the veto session, which would provide $30 million in relief to the city of Harvey to continue operating under until other revenue sources kick in. Because we still got a lot of work to do. We've also drafted legislation that prohibits the comptroller from being able to seize the restricted funds. Because remember, once again, I went on Fox News and I said, Fox Business, and I said that the pensions should be paid. I still believe that. But I don't believe that the restricted funds should be used in order to pay it. Because to me, that's just a misappropriation of the intent of what those funds were supposed to be. So we've also drafted that legislation to be able to do so. And that brings us to where we are now. The financially distressed city law. So there's going to be, and first of all, before we get into this, because we're in the wrap-up stage now, you guys. Before we get there, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen and taking this journey with us. It's important that we do so because in a city such as the city of Harvey, some people have been here for their entire lives. And some just moved here a year, 2 years ago, and don't understand quite where we were, where we came from, and what we're experiencing now. So I appreciate you taking that journey to this point. Next slide. Financially distressed city law, we're just asking for one thing, for the council to take action under the financially distressed city law. The purpose of the law is to provide secure financial basis for the continued operation of a financially distressed city, which is what I'm hoping at this particular point in time that the city of Harvey will be declared. But we have to do this in steps. And this is where the experts are going to come out. But they can do all their talking head stuff later. Council, we're only asking for one thing. The first step is to have the council pass an ordinance requesting that the Department of Revenue certify the city of Harvey as to say that we qualify to become a financially distressed city. Now, what does that basically mean? What's the criteria? The criteria basically is that we're in the top 5% of high tax rates. We're there. We're in the lower 5% of tax collections. In my opinion, we're there. But the numbers are the thing that's going to tell us really where we are. And that is by having the Department of Revenue to take a look at our current condition and to make sure or to verify that we meet that criteria. That is the only thing that we are asking for at this particular time. There are other parts to it. There are other things that would have to be done in the future. We're not asking for this at this particular time. Because if we don't qualify for Part A, we can't go to Part B anyway. Okay? So we're asking for the council to vote in favor of this. Ultimately, it would pave the way for us to seek additional relief, which would include the appointment, because some people want to have it, for those who would love to have it, and I welcome it, an oversight, financial oversight authority, to be able to come in and go over our finances and check them out and make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Because unless we get a reset here, okay, which is one of the things that this administration, we were trying to figure out a way to keep the boat afloat without having to go this route. There are some people in this audience that were members of the Harvey coalition. I'm going to invoke some names: Mr. Nunn, Mr. Mahone. Two people that used to advocate for this thing here. And at one point or another, during the time that they were in their lives, God rest their souls, we discussed this financially distressed city law. But if we did not have to go in that direction, we wanted to try to avoid it. And I want to give some credit to this administration, and specifically all of the elected officials that are participating in trying to keep us afloat during that period of time. But we're now at a point where we have to make a decision on where we're going to be. And for those who would like to see the financial oversight, because even though we present the bills every 2 weeks, and even though the Finance Committee goes over the bills, and even though they're passed by the council, some people say it's still not transparent enough, you will have a financial authority to be able to do so. And your mayor is not shying away from it. Your mayor welcomes it. We welcome it. Next slide. After we do that, though, because the city of Harvey lacks the ability to pay operational expenses, I'm also going to exercise my powers under the city code to allow me to coordinate activities in the case of an emergency resulting from other causes, which means we are going to have some changes in our operation until we can figure out how to do more and how to do better. Some people want to call it a shutdown. I don't call it a shutdown, because we're not just walking away from the city, but we are going to have to change the way that we operate, because we cannot afford to pay all of the people that work for the city. We cannot afford to pay all of the bills that we need to pay. We cannot afford to pay all of the vendors that we need to pay. And just as the city shut down and operated with skeletal crews during COVID-19, we are going to have to restructure the way we operate now to make sure that we can afford to pay the people who work here every single day. Now, we are going to have the necessary conversations with the necessary collective bargaining bodies. We are going to follow all the rules that we are supposed to follow, because we definitely don't want them following any more unfair labor practices, because that's just going to cost us more money anyway. So we don't want them to do that. We're going to try to take care of as many people as we possibly can in this administration. But it would be irresponsible of us to think that we can continue to operate the city the way that we do when we know, and you have historically seen, that we don't have the revenues coming in to our city the way that we need them, and we don't have the ability to bond ourselves out of it. So, next slide, please. So we will be able to temporarily resume operations, and we want and before we get there, we want everybody that I've discussed, the pensions, both police and fire, the arbitrators, the unions, the the vendors, the federal government, the state government, the county government. We want everybody to come to the table, because I've never said that I was the smartest man in the world. And so at the end of the day, if there's someone out here that has a better idea and can show us how to get it done, I'm with you. I always talk about if Barack Obama ran for mayor in the city of Harvey, I'd vote for him instead. Just because he could go ahead and possibly get us some more of what we need. But if the state comptroller stopped seizing our restricted funds, it would free up additional revenue for the city, okay? If the Cook County assessor decides to issue the bills and those bills actually came on time and people paid on time, that would give us additional revenue. If the fire pension, because the police pension, I believe, has already been paid, is that correct? If the fire pension would renegotiate, now, we never said we wanted to go from 35% to 0%. I don't believe that that's right either. But we need to sit at the table and figure out how we're going to do this, because at the end of the day, if there's no city, there's no pension. So, if the fire pension would be willing to renegotiate our full repayment of the pension fund over a longer period of time at a lower percentage, that would help us, okay? And the legal fees, because we also pay legal fees for them, is that correct? And we've paid their lawyer, I think somewhere around, how much we've paid, $2 million? We've paid their attorney about $2 million so far. This year. So if we can sit down and have a conversation. Our biggest problem, in my opinion, is the fact that all of these entities were operating in their own silos, looking at their own interests. And I'm not saying that they're not supposed to protect themselves or protect the people that they represent. You know, but there's that saying that one of the aldermen don't necessarily like to hear, but you're cutting your nose to spite your face. And that's exactly what happened in this particular case. Next slide. If the General Assembly or the county were able to give us the ability to foreclose on tax delinquent properties, because we don't have the ability to do that. Isn't it funny? We rely on property taxes that are collected by someone else. We don't have the ability to collect those taxes. But at the same time, they're not aggressively collecting those taxes on our behalf. How is it that any city in the United States of America, but specifically, can have a 52% collection rate, and there's no one running out there trying to get the rest of their money? You try owing your Capital One credit card an extra 5 cents and see somebody gonna be calling you on the phone talking about, is this Mr. Jawitsky? Yeah. But when we collect 52%, nobody's doing anything. We're just allowed to exist this way. Is it that we don't deserve to have the full amount? Or what's going on? So if we can get the General Assembly of the county to give us authority to foreclose on those tax delinquent properties and parcels, it would give us the ability to put those properties back on the tax roll. And we are, of course, open to any other ideas. So I think that's it. But once again, thank you so much for listening. And so now at this particular point in time, you want to follow the rule, and you guys, council, decide what it is that you want to do.
Mayor Clark, with all due respect, I think it was very disingenuous.
Excuse me. No. And it's disingenuous for you to stand up in the middle of the meeting out of order. Thank you very much. Wow. Council, what is your pleasure?
Point of order.
Okay. We have a motion to limit automatic comment to 3 minutes.
3 minutes per alderman.
Point of order.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Okay, well, there is no point of order because there's nothing that is out of order. We have a motion by the,
Mayor Clark, we really need to have a point of order.
Yes.
The people deserve.
that's
some
improper,
details.
and you are out of order.
I'm always out of
So,
order.
yes, so there is a motion by
We
the
need to talk
fifth
about this.
and a second by the sixth to limit automatic comments, so we are going to have it
Are we limiting?
to
comment?
3 minutes. Is that
You've
correct?
spoken for the past hour and 30
Would you
minutes, and you're
please
limiting
would you
the,
please
you need our
call
vote tonight in order to release me.
Would you please come to
And
order?
I'm hopeful, no police
Alderperson
arresting,
Lewis.
no arresting, no
Come to
anything
order.
for me speaking up on the
Would you
behalf of
please come to
residents.
order? Would you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Alderperson Brewinski.
That's deplorable, Fifth Ward Alderman Randle-El.
Alderperson Chapman.
No.
Alderperson Smith.
Yes.
Alderperson Key.
Pay attention, resident.
Alderperson Randle-El. Alderperson Rogers.
Pay attention. Why are we
Motion
limiting
carried.
any
Motion
conversation?
carries, okay. So what we will do is, we will start with the second ward. There's something to be said, so,
Could we start in
in
the sequential
response to
order?
this,
Could we start in the sequential order?
no, we can start where the chair says that we're going to start. You have something to say? Please set the clock for 3 minutes.
Residents, I want you to pay close attention. Why would we be hindering any and/or any specific debate or conversation around something that's going to have an everlasting impact on us for who knows how long? Tonight, you didn't hear anything more than what you already knew via Google search when you type in Eric Kellogg. What you heard tonight was a blame game. And what we need are specific, measurable, you ever seen a SMART? We need that, a SMART chart. Specific, measurable, realistic, timely goals. That's not being said here. We're not having any understanding. Why would I be limited to 3 minutes, but the mayor's been speaking for 90 minutes? Did you know today that $1.4 million dropped in our bank account on behalf of Amalgamated Bank? Right, that's to support the 25 plus residents, because it's pretty, pardon me, all employees in here, you all right here, and in the back, very few residents, but certainly employees. And that is supposed to support you all being able to work. Where is that? That's what should be up on this screen, the bank accounts. Not a slideshow depiction of what we knew happened in the previous administration. At some point in time, we have to step up and have courage enough to say what we're gonna do to move the city forward. When you spend $32,000, I know grant funding, I've never been granted access to any of those documents to identify that the grant funding was specifically allocated to anything. Why would we be having, I mean, even this, I messaged Ms. Gonzalez, just 48 hours ago I found out about this. Why, as an alderperson, am I finding out 48 hours, it can't even be a 48-hour true posting, because we found out at 1:40 via Facebook, 1:46 in my inbox. Why wasn't it sent to me on Wednesday? If we are truly having a financial uproar, why did we spend over $32,000 like Ms. Askew mentioned just Sunday, when not even 10% of the residents attended? Not even 10% of the residents attended back in the 4th of July parade. So there it is, almost $80,000 on special events. I think we can add, just like we're gonna ask downstate, the House of Representatives to push us through for the $30 million, we couldn't have asked them to support us in pivoting those funds to go to your streets, to go to the street lights, to go to abandoned properties.
30 seconds.
It's unfortunate, and to be muzzled. Mayor Clark, I'm calling for your immediate resignation. And I'm calling for your immediate resignation because this is insanity. We're not doing anything, we're doing the same thing, and we're getting the same results. Taxpayers, you paid almost $30,000 on baseless charges on the rest of me and my mother.
Hello.
But I'm sitting here today, free as a bird. So with that being said, the way in which I just told you 3 line items over $100,000. The past 6 months, you paid $480,000 to BNF Construction Co. Yet we've seen no engineering renderings. And now my time is up. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
First ward, she has her hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. What are we talking about here?
We are talking about an ordinance to request certification and designating our city as a financial distress city. None of it, anything else. We're talking about the beginning steps. Now, some people may say, well, we know our history. Well, let me tell you something. You know it, you're going to hear it, so we don't repeat it. How many times we were in school, we heard about our history. We cannot just close the door to it. We have to face it, to move over and accept it, to avoid ever repeating it again. This is what this purpose is. This is the purpose for us to sit back and say, do we collectively say, wait a minute, I'm paying the highest taxes here. Do I want a record of that? Darn right I do as a resident. Do I want a record that my community is the lowest collecting base? Darn right I want a record of that. That's going to help each and every one of us in our city to move forward. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. That's what we're voting on today. All this other stuff that we're talking about, this is what's on the agenda. This is what's on the agenda. So my question is, that's all we're voting on, correct, Mr. Mayor?
That's correct.
We are not voting on having an authority to come here and oversight our expenses yet. Am I correct, Mr. Mayor?
Correct. We'll say it again, don't you get that?
We are not voting on that today. We are voting just the beginning steps to say, hey world, City of Harvey is on the top 3% of the taxes. Wake up all the other taxing bodies. We're saying, hey world, we got a 3% in the highest of non-collecting rate. We have a problem here. Somebody come and help us. We're repeating our history back in 2015, raising our hand. We need help in the city of Harvey. Thank you, God bless.
I don't see any other hands. So, Alderman Key, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, I got a little something to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on out. I first would like to start off with the simple fact that when I ran for alderman, I knew that we was over $100 million in debt. I knew we had 5,000 vacant properties, but I didn't run my campaign on that. I ran my campaign on what I could do and how I could see the city moving forward and how I could be able to help. So when we constantly play the blame game, or this happened before this, people don't talk like that around election time when they're trying to get some vote. Well, it's because of this, it's because of this. See, people don't want to take accountability. You know, when you take accountability, there's no room for blame. You know, period. So once we stop talking about what happened, whatever Kellogg supposed to did, he inherited from Nick Graves. Whatever Nick Graves inherited, he inherited from Johnson. Whatever Johnson had, it came from Mayor Haynes. And as far as I see, Mayor Haynes ain't did nothing, have he? Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to play this history game. The thing about it is this. We need to worry about what are we doing right now. When the mayor used an example, if I paid $50,000 and I got a loan for a car and didn't buy the car, if I did something like that, somebody would be making my life miserable if I got away with $50,000. You know, how does those situations, you know, even happen? Where's the record of this actually happening and showing that it did? And this person is still walking around doing this to everybody, you know, we need to stop. Okay, I was on the finance committee along with Kobe Chapman. Monday, April 12th, February 12th, we were removed from the Finance Committee for asking too many questions about where our money is going. But yet, the mayor just said himself, he named the people, they stood up and they protested. Then nobody get put out no meeting, then nobody go to jail. Okay, so what are we supposed to do? What type of example are we setting for people that stand on up? You know, we need to change that narrative. In my opinion, it's either poor leadership, lack of transparency from the finance company, both or neither.
30 seconds.
You make the decision. But this all has to stop. Because we need to start, since we done took over this administration, the unnecessary fees we've incurred, the lawsuits we've incurred, the people we done laid on off and didn't lay off nobody from City Hall, but we laid off our street workers and our police department, which we definitely need. If we don't keep it real, let's keep it real and stop blaming people. Accountability is accountability with no room for blame when you stand up for what you know you did and what you're responsible for. Thank you.
Sixth Ward.
Hey, is the microphone on? Can y'all hear me? All right, y'all know me. This is Alderman Tyrone Rogers of the Great Sixth Ward. First of all, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. I'm glad to be in the sanctuary one more time because I wasn't supposed to be here. September the 19th, I was in a terrible motorcycle accident where I almost lost my life. Staples in my head, stitches in my butt, rods in my leg, and everything. But I'm here to talk about it. Now, I ain't called to talk about what I've been through because God had already healed me, okay? One of my boys that come by my house every day at 1 o'clock, and he put his index finger on my chest. His name is Jesus Christ. He done already saved me. Now, I'm here for one purpose. And I wasn't going to make it here tonight because I was full of medication and I wasn't in the mood to come out for no nonsense. But I am so glad that our illustrious mayor had the opportunity to say what was on his mind. And if he took an hour and 30 minutes, an hour and 60 minutes, or an hour and 90 minutes, it wasn't enough time to know what this city is going through. I'm a resident on 146 and Harvey Avenue for 51 years. No, I ain't no wildcat. I went to Parker in Chicago. I ain't no wildcat, but I was 19 years old, and God blessed me to have 70 years, 70. Okay? 70 years. He blessed me with that. And every Monday morning, I get phone calls and they ring off the hook. They say, hey, the garbage man didn't come. Well, don't worry. Give me a minute. I called Republic and they coming. Okay? Do you know what it's like not to have your garbage being able to be picked up? Do you know that I speak with Mr. Lewis Williams just like we family members? I talk to him every day, all the time. And he sets me straight as chairman of the finance committee on where we should be going as far as the city. I'm surprised. It was April 7, 2019, when we took office. April 7th, 2019. And we've been juggling like Bozo the Circus for 6 years. And I'm wondering, how are we making payroll? How's the water department? How's the street department, planning department? Hell yeah, you needed to bring BNF in because we didn't have qualified, certified people that was able to come to your house and come to your property. Okay, now we're getting results. Is it enough? No. Hell yeah, I'm gonna vote for it. I'm going to vote for stage 1 because it's the best thing, and I want to see my city continue to flourish.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman's going to go on down the line. Third Ward.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Your participation.
Speak to your mic, please. There's something that happened to us.
Good evening. I first want to start off by saying how it's very important for us to attend these meetings, so you all can see the buffoonery, not only here, and all the other entities like the Park District, which you pay taxes for too as well, and the library, okay? Transparency, since I've been an alderperson, I done heard that word, so if I had a certain amount of money for the word transparency that's been used in here on this board, I'd probably be rich, because it's used overkill. It's a bit like a dead horse. At least we say we do this here, that we'll have financial oversight. Wow, we finally got that wish we've been asking for. That's financial oversight means transparency, correct? Means transparency, right? And so, after that, not only that, he explained it was a 10% surplus with grades, meaning we had money in the bank. We had money in the bank. That's what surplus means. You had some money. But it was after the last administration who we are saying we're blaming. But you know, when we talk about blame, you know what's really interesting? How everybody sat around those whole 16 years and watched us. Let somebody dig us in the ground. Sat around quietly with both eyes open. It was talk about it. And we still know. You know what the talk is uptown? That person still got a hold on the city. You can tell by how the buffoonery that happens here. Everybody coming here and they try to tear down the city. The best we try to pull it together. They still in place. You can see them. They're noticeable. And then they tell people to resign. We're supposed to be working together. It's embarrassing. I can't say it enough how embarrassing it is as a black, poor community that we have our own can that pull us down in the ground like a barrel of crabs. But we're so educated. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. These same interested people, where were you? You're so passionate right now. Where were you when Kellogg was in office? Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? Yeah, and they talk about the end of seconds. They say they've been going to schools, and somebody gives them a presentation where my third grader can understand it, and they still don't understand it themselves. And they want to be mayor. Good luck with that, people, okay? Have a great night.
Thank you.
Great night.
And
I'm clapping for you.
last but not least, Fifth Ward.
Thank you. Thank you to all the residents and
Please come
department
to order.
heads.
Hold on. Please, let us still remain in order in the audience, please. Thank you.
Reserve my time. Put 4 minutes back on the clock, please. No, seriously, thank you all for being here. Look, I probably shouldn't be surprised, but I am. But I'm also just tired. I really am. We had a young lady who got up there and she said, look, I want to know where we're at, how did we get there, and what we're going to do to get out of it. That's what the man did. I don't get it. It's like I'm the only one with ears can hear. He showed it to you. But that's not blaming somebody. That's not blaming them. If I tell you I got to get more oil changes and do more engine work because the previous owner didn't take care of the engine, I'm not blaming them, I'm telling you the situation. We got to grow up. I'm serious. You mean to tell me every single city council meeting, you get up and you say the same thing over and over. The same thing over and over. Even after you've been provided with the answer. Stop talking while I'm talking. That's being rude, sir. That's rude. This is what I'm talking about, y'all.
Let us, please. Thank you. Continue.
This is what I'm talking about. We took over this. But doggone, you've been asking for all this transparency. You want to look at the books. We got somebody from the Internal Revenue going to look at them for you. But watch this. It ain't going to be good enough for something like that. It's not going to be good enough. They probably were working with y'all. People ain't working with us. We can't even respect each other and have a decent conversation. when our elders are sitting up here and can't follow the rules? Gosh, it don't have to be this difficult. We can actually work together. But the problem is, and I figured it out, some of y'all don't want that. You want to tear it down because you want somebody else to build it up. You got another agenda.
Sorry, Mr. Gower, once again.
You got another agenda. Well, let me tell you something right here in the house of God. Your agenda doesn't matter. God's does. So we're going to keep moving. I hope and pray for you. I hope that you can deal with your attitude, deal with your heart, deal with your mind, because it don't make no sense that all you have to say is negative stuff out of your mouth.
Come on, can we please,
Walking my uncle out, all because he's Smith.
are you done?
You know what, yeah, I'm done. I'm about to leave this sandbox.
All right, before we move on, Mr. Alderman Drewinski, specifically you, I saw your hair raised up on your head. I never saw that before, like that. You know, unfortunately, we still have some Caledonians out there who seem for some odd reason, no matter what you do, if you speak that man's name in a way that they don't like, they got a problem with it. You know, I remember seeing Barack Obama on television when he was talking about President Trump, and he was saying, now what if I did the same thing he did? If I did the same thing that had been done between 2003 and 2019, people would be trying to burn me at the stake, and they would definitely wouldn't be calling for my immediate resignation now, they would have called for my immediate resignation then. They would have also called for me to be locked up. But that stuff didn't happen, because the Kelloggonians believe in supporting somebody who ran this city into the ground. Now, when Shirley Drewinski, when we protested, Joe Whittington, when we protested, we were removed from office. And we were illegally removed from the office. And fortunately, the state's attorney and the attorney general, I believe, got involved and restored us. But we were removed from office when we spoke out against what was going on at that particular point in time. That has not happened in this administration, even though there have been people who have acted in a way such as hitting police officers and things of that nature. They still weren't removed from their position. This is not election time. This election time for some other people, okay, who are running for office. But I'm not running for office right now, and neither is the council. So you can keep that one, because we're not running for office. There is no place in the United States of America, other than the city of Harvey, that has had its police department raided twice by the federal government and once by the state. There is no place other than, I think it's East St. Louis, that has the pension funds being intercepted by the state comptroller and has had to deal with becoming a financially distressed city. These are unprecedented times. When you talk about fleecing gentlemen's clubs and providing police protection for drug dealers, those are unprecedented times. When you talk about the planning department being raided by the federal government, those are unprecedented times. And the list goes on and on and on. So we're not talking about just what normally happens in normal situations. We are talking about situations that some of us, as the elders say, I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime. Never. Because these are unprecedented times. And so we have to take action. Now, I always say it over and over again, 2027 will be here, Y'all do what y'all need to do. I'm all right with that. I'm all right with you. Just like I respected the mayor before me and did not say and do a lot of things that I could have done. If I'm no longer in this office and we have a new one, I will respect that one too. Because that's how government works. That's what they were trying to demonstrate in Washington, D.C. when they were trying to do a peaceful transfer of power. But some people seem to can't follow the rules because they want it all for themselves. You do whatever you want to do. I'm gonna live in Harvey. See, I'm Harvey born and raised. So when this is over, we'll find something else to do. And I'm still gonna help you, I'm still gonna love you. God bless you. But now we got business to take care of, and we have an ordinance requesting certification and designation under the financially distressed city law. And the mayor would entertain, the chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by the first and second by the sixth. We've already had the debate and comments. So, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderperson Lewinsky.
Yes.
Alderperson Chapman.
Yes.
Alderperson Smith.
Yes.
Alderperson Key.
Yes.
Alderperson Randle-El.
Yes.
Alderperson Rogers.
Yes.
Motion carried. That's ordinance 3517. 3517.
Is that pass unanimously?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. I heard a motion by the sixth, second by the fifth. All in favor signify by saying aye. Hold on. Before we get there, we got a few things to do, just a few housekeeping issues. First of all, because during my presentation, I might have been seemed a little bit skewed, but y'all keep in mind, that the county has helped us fix that $2 million for that water supply line. And the county has also helped us with that 1.1 million or whatever it was to just hit our bank account from the bridge loan. Yeah. It won't get us where we need to be. But there are some people who are willing to step forward to try to help us. And speaking of that, Pastor Harris, wherever he is, or the leader in charge, or servant in charge, wherever he say, is he up there?
There he is.
The shepherd up there, there you go. The shepherd of this flock, we want to thank him and his team and all of the members for allowing us to use this space. I hope that whoever clapping because you need to, come on. Sometimes we can get a little rowdy, but I hope that we didn't do anything to defile it as a sanctuary, and I hope that eventually God will be pleased with us. All right. That being said, there's a motion to adjourn, and there's a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, we stand adjourned at 8:28 p.m. Thank you very much, and what is today? Today's Thursday. Have a good rest of your week and weekend. Thank you.